Alright y'all, let's get into it. In order to start painting, I am going to be laying down my paints on a piece of glass with white underneath it so that I could see the brightest hue. Don't come for me in this video, this is my first time. The medium that I'm going to be using today is linseed oil. The solvent that I'm going to use to clean my brushes is Sansodor. It's a great alternative to turpentine if you don't like the odor. I'm going to create 5 shades of gray, starting with the darkest color, black, and then I'm going to add some white to it. So the black and white is 2. I'm going to mix them to create my 5 shades of gray, and in total I'll end up with 7 different colors, or 7 different shades. So here I'm just mixing with my palette. I try not to mix with my brush so that I can preserve my brushes much longer. Okay, so I'm going to start with the darkest color, which is the black, and I'm going to use that for the Occlusion Shadow, which is all the way on the bottom of my circle. I start with the darkest value at the bottom of the circle, and then I'm going to move on to the next darkest value, which would be in the core shadow. So here I'm just painting along the Terminator, and I'm using the next darkest shade that I have, and I'm completing all the way up into the core shadow. Once these are established, I'm going to link them together with the next darkest value, and that would be on the reflected light part. So when I'm painting grayscale, I learned to paint from dark to light, and the reason is because when you paint with the darker colors first, it'll show up more vibrant on the white panel, so they contrast very well, and it's easier to see the darker colors. In addition, light colors typically have more white in them, and they're more easier to lay over darker pigments. So once I establish the reflected light, I move on to the lighter colors that make up what we call halftones. And the halftones is on the side of the object that would typically be hit by light. So these tones can also occur behind the dark side of the circle. So as you'll see, I'll block in some background color to make sure that you see a relationship between the halftones and the background side of the circle. Just doing a little blending. I will continue adding the halftones on the lighter side as I bring the background all the way around the object. So I want to connect the halftones and the backside of the object so you can see a relationship, and it creates the illusion of this being a real circle. But I want you to notice the spear is darker on the back side, or the bottom side, and the spear is lighter on the upper side. That would be closer to the light. So there are some small areas where the tone looks the same, or where the edges are completely gone. So these relationships and these little details will help you create an illusion. So here I'm just taking the shadows that I used from the core shadow and the reflected light, and I'm going to block in that cast shadow. The edge of the cast shadow, it's a little lighter because the light is reflecting onto the stage. So cast shadows, typically they get lighter the further away they are from an object that is casting that shadow. And then the surface of the backdrop behind the sphere is a little lighter because it's supposed to be hit by the light directly. So this is a completed sphere. I hope that helped.